This is a question that came in via Facebook, and it reads, how can I make someone understand that God is a loving God when in the Old Testament he killed or asked the Israelites to kill his own people? So how can we explain to someone else that he is truly a loving God?
Well, actually, I had questions like this. I mentioned already I didn't believe in the Bible.
Yes.
I had views of God that were not biblical. I had heard things about God that actually are not how the Bible describes God. Of course, we know that 1 John chapter 4, verse 8, it says God is love. That's very important. God is love. But there are also passages in the Old Testament where God commands Israel to kill. For example, and some point to this in Deuteronomy 20, verses 16 to 18. Actually, I wrote an article together with my wife on these kinds of questions called I Don't Want a God Who. So maybe people would be interested in reading the full article. We don't have time really. It's a kind of a big question, but I'll try the best I can. Deuteronomy 20, verses 16 to 18, he says, of the cities of these people which the Lord your God gives you as an inheritance, you shall let nothing that breathes remain alive. Okay, and it goes on. Nothing that breathes remain alive. That sounds like pretty much exterminating everybody. But we can't just read those verses and tear it out of context. Earlier, a very important principle of biblical study is we look at the whole passage. So just a few verses earlier, in verses 10 to 15, it makes clear that war was to be avoided at all possible costs. When you go near a city to fight against it, then proclaim an offer of peace to it. And it shall be that if they accept your offer of peace and open to you, then all the people who are found in it shall be placed under tribute to you and serve you. Now if the city will not make peace with you, but war against you, then you shall besiege it, and so on. So they were trying to avoid this. Also, we have to keep in mind that it was never God's plan A for Israel to fight.
That's very true.
Abraham was placed in the land of Canaan specifically as a witness, and the Canaanites were given hundreds of years. In Genesis chapter 15, verse 16, in the fourth generation they shall return here, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full or complete. So in other words, God was giving them time for repentance. We know from the Rosh Hashanah tablets that have been excavated that the Canaanite culture was extremely bloody and violent, including sexual violence and just terrible atrocities. And to perpetuate that kind of culture with Israel coming in would only make matters worse. So God's actually, his main plan was to go in front of them and to drive the Canaanites out. He said, hornets, I will send hornets in front of you to drive them out, so they wouldn't have to even fight. But that original plan A was not possible because they tried to fight on their own. We don't have time to go into the details of that, but this was God's plan A.